Hey guys, welcome back to Free Running. Again, it's Insetic with BioEnchanted,
Hello.
and Blink Tester has come back, and this time we're heading off to the mill.
Woot.
Woot. So, is this like a grain mill? You got the big tank with all the wheat and the conveyor belts and all that stuff?
No, this is a mill that's built along a canal to most likely power the thing. I'm not exactly sure what it's milling, but it's milling something.
You're gonna be running on a water wheel, you know? It'll be like
I
one of those
wish it
hamster
would be much
things.
easier to cross. This level can be really annoying if you don't know what you're doing, because it's bisected by that massive river, and there's no way to just jump across it. You have to find ways to use these buildings to get around.
Oh, and your guy never learned how to swim, I see.
Yeah.
Swimming is not part of parkour.
It's the
Swimming's
one
not
athletic
part of
thing he
Europe.
never mastered.
That's true.
Like
Yeah.
Rasputin
Didn't
from
you play the
Psychonauts.
Assassin's
Maybe he
Creed
was
game?
cursed to die in water or something.
No, I didn't. Shit, man. You know, for the longest time, I never really knew if I knew how to swim or not.
What the fuck?
I guess I do, because I don't drown when I go into water. I mean,
What
I
the
said for a
fuck?
while, it's not like it still plagues me today.
the fact that you even had to like pause for a second.
Like, I never felt that good at it, you know? Like, I just smack my
I mean,
arms.
nobody expects you to be Michael Phelps, but
I just smack my arms and
human
cross
beings
the
are
water.
natural born floaters. I mean, if you put a baby in water, they naturally know how to float.
Well, Aesthetic's a natural born floater, but we all know what that is.
Yeah, no, he's a natural born sinker.
Yeah, no, I came out as a floater into the toilet. That is, hey yo, dissing myself.
I'm not gonna give you props for that.
Yeah.
You didn't know that whether or not you knew how to swim. This is absurd.
Well, it's not like I still have
Think
that.
through what you're gonna say before you say it.
I thought it would be relevant, you know?
It didn't
Of
make any sense.
Yeah. Of the 3 levels so far, this one has some of the more difficult challenges because of just how finicky some of the platforming can get with how exact it wants it to be.
Yes.
How much are you controlling the camera there?
The camera, that kind of stuff is me controlling the camera. The camera can get a bit weird when you leave it to its own devices.
Yeah, that's
He
what
wasn't
it looks
controlling
like.
the camera was controlling him.
It definitely looked kind of wonky.
Yeah, it can be a bit at times.
Sorry, I just got a call from New Mexico.
Oh man, yeah.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. You know, speaking of...
Sometimes the governor of New Mexico calls me. It's just
Yeah, this particular part can be particularly hard to work out where you're meant to actually go to get across this. But when you know where you're
Yeah.
going, it becomes much easier. Because of course you know how to navigate these rooftops, but if you don't, they can become quite a maze.
Yeah.
Yeah. This really, like... Maybe I have a different definition of mill, but this just kind of looks like more apartments.
It's because most of the mill is in the 2 buildings across the river that you use to get across the river. You don't go inside it, really. So you don't get a lot of milling equipment going on.
Yeah, maybe like the mill is like one of the buildings.
Of other levels, in my opinion, this one's one of the worst. It's just kind of, it's not particularly fun or exciting, it's just kind of a set of terraces with not really a lot to differentiate itself from a normal neighborhood.
Yeah. Like the previous level, which I guess was called Flats, I think, looked like it had some, like, alright lines and such.
Yeah.
And this one, it looks like it's trying to do things with sloped surfaces.
Yeah, it's
But-
trying to be Tomb Raider but failing.
Not really, like, what the hell? Okay. Sudden, like, 90 degrees to, like, 20 degrees
Yeah.
shift, but it doesn't really look like it has any real endings for the lines, if that's what I mean. Like, you slide down a roof, you jump, and then you just crash onto the floor.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they were going for a sort of semi-realistic thing
Yeah.
with the building design instead of trying to make it like interesting lines and playable level kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of a similar thing to what like the later Grand Theft Autos were accused of, where they tried to be a bit more specific with their vehicle handling, but it wound up just becoming kind of floaty because they were trying too hard to be realistic as opposed to arcadey, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that jumping across fence tops was cool, but definitely in the last level, definitely sacrificed realism for having those cool lines. We mentioned, like, there were no doors to that place. You would not be able to get anywhere inside, but, you know, outside it was quite cool.
Yeah.
Maybe when you get back to the other side of the river. Like, we didn't really see that side. You kind of...
You'll see why I
ran
left
to
that
this
one
side.
till last.
Oh, okay.
There was a reason with the way the level's put together and what it wants you to do. This
It's
is an
the,
example of where things can get a bit mean, because it's a really cramped space with this kind of thing in. Some of them get worse later on with that, but yeah, it can be very easy for that to happen because the walls are just so close together that you sometimes can just not realise how far you're going to fly.
So I'm a little confused. What exactly is going on here?
It needs you to get particularly high score by doing these ground tricks because the ground tricks are the best ways to get high scores because they score the most points and get the fastest multipliers.
So they want you to parkour to get points so that you can get a high score.
Yeah.
But the quickest way to do it is to just jump around on the ground.
Yeah, because normally when you do actual parkour stuff, there's too much space between them. Unless you're doing very specific
having
lines.
flashbacks to Gravity Games, Bike Street Dirt,
Except
where
in that case,
you,
there was no way to get points.
well, there was no way to get points if you didn't just stand in one spot and do the same trick.
Oh,
over
yeah,
and over.
yeah. Where,
Which is kind of, I mean, like, in a game that's based around parkouring, I wouldn't think that a high score challenge would be best.
And also,
Well,
there's not a lot of more of running down the clock to come because the later challenges get much harder than you require all the time you're given.
Huh.
yeah.
It's just
Well,
at this
also
point they're a
when,
bit easy, so it becomes a bit okay. Now what do I do this last 30 seconds?
Yeah. Well, also in Gravity Games Bike, you can
Yeah.
cancel out of any trick by just grinding. So that's the equivalent of being like
Yeah.
face first through a front flip and then jumping off a wall here.
Yeah. By the way, the
Yeah.
reason I saved this to last is because of where the landmark is, across the river, right there.
Oh, so kind of a back and forth.
Yeah. So it's kind of otherwise I have to come all the way back here
Oh
after
shit!
the landmark.
Oh shit! You better be running on that water wheel.
I'm afraid
He
not.
won't
Sorry.
be.
I am a man of very specific
He won't be.
expectations.
The water wheel is purely cosmetic. I'm afraid.
Man,
Yep.
I'll make you purely cosmetic by the end of this
Uh,
if you don't.
I'm not sure if that was a
What?
threat or a makeover.
He's threatening
I know
with
a couple
makeover.
people. You know.
You know people?
I know a couple people. Yeah.
How many people do you know that I don't know?
A couple.
None. The answer is none.
Yeah, no, some. I just don't want to start bringing them up because, like, you're
Your
just gonna make
sister's
fun
friends?
of me again. I mean, no,
Your
you know
mom's
them.
friends?
No, you know. Do you know them?
Your mom's friends.
No, it's instead
I
it's
don't
with
know
fun.
your
My
mom's
mom's
friends.
stylist. I don't know.
Why? I don't know why I would know them.
That can be a bit.
Whoa! What?
Yeah,
just
I got
happened?
lucky with where it's respawned me after I fell into the river there.
Well, that worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Those
know.
were
what
very
happened.
low fireworks.
Yeah. They're gonna like shoot through the windows and just blow things up.
Goodbye, Mill.
I mean, it is a mill.
Yeah.
Well, the Mill has the fewest challenges of any level in this game, which I'm very thankful for, because the design is a little bit annoying. This is one of the harder things because it requires this area, which requires really exact timing.
Oh, jumping on tree branches.
Yes, and then
When did the
this
first
kind of
Assassin's
stuff
Creed
can
come
really
out?
kind of screw you up if you're not expecting it. Because, like, if you don't expect the fence to be there, because you haven't done that many jumps in a row before in this area, you can kind of get caught on it and fall like an idiot because you haven't touched the floor here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This arrow is weird.
Yeah, it's
It, like,
pointing
points
towards
up
the
before
nearest
it
target
points.
as opposed to the next one. Because you can kind of,
Yeah.
theoretically, it's like, oh, get them in any order, but it's like, yeah, just follow the line and you'll get them all fine. Otherwise,
Right.
you won't.
Otherwise, you'll
Yeah.
run out of time.
Some of the later lines get a bit more flexible, but
Still looks weird.
yeah, this part is definitely just really weird to actually do, because you can't really work out what the game wants you to do. So it's like,
What's
okay,
the-
I'll
what's
grind
the
to the
line
bottom
point
and grip
here?
onto the thing and climb up it, but then it's just like, yeah, you won't have time, you'll just fall off the bottom of the roof and look like a city.
Yeah. You know, to talk about other things in the Something Awful thread, you brought up the website for the game, which
Yeah.
is still up. And the website doesn't appear to have been edited since like 2008
Yeah.
or even earlier.
Oh,
Like I
much
linked this contest they were having, like describe what city you'd want Free Running 2 to be set in, and maybe sketch out a line of your hometown or something, and you win a grand prize. Like,
Yeah.
They say submissions are closed, but maybe they're still taking submissions, you know?
They aren't.
They didn't get that many, so they're extending the deadline until further notice.
They aren't.
Until the apocalypse, then.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of... I screwed up there a few times. That was entirely on me. I was impatient.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Free Running 2 is a post-apocalyptic game. It's the apocalypse that occurs is that fireworks start appearing all over the world and blowing people's windows in.
No spoilers.
And blowing people up.
Yeah, and you track down the guy who's causing all of them.
The main character from Free Runners 1.
Yeah, from Free Running 1, who, I guess, lost his way and started permanently parkouring across the world, even, like, on an airplane.
Right.
Bam
Like,
Margera
he
had
caused
to stop him.
explosions and...
He can't go anywhere by air. He has to, like, travel
this was
there
me
by
forgetting
sea.
where to go because there's only really one route. It just has a bunch of dead-end fake routes. So you think
That's
you can kind of, oh, I'll just go around this way because it might be faster. So it's like, nope, no, there's just no ledge there.
Can you pan the camera out, or...
Not very
really move?
easily. You saw how the camera moves when you're not gripping onto stuff.
Yeah, I guess so.
The camera's one of the biggest failures in this game, really. And yeah, here I'd forgotten you could only go around that corner in that particular ledge. You can't reach to one up there because it's overhanging slightly.
Ugh.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's not very obvious until you try and fail it. Like, that one roof that I kind of went by with the middle building that connects the two. It actually has a fairly sizable gap, but when you're playing it on a small TV on a PS2, it can be hard to see the gap because of how flush it looks. You know, right there, with the gap in the railing that I'm gripping onto right now. It's really hard to see that on a PS when you're playing it on the TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is... Yeah,
Yeah, the time attacks are kind
these
of...
weird these things dealing with like where the ledges are and you're being able to go around the corners of buildings. I wish I could say that these aren't problems in, you know, more modern games that use parkour, but it still is an issue. I mean, you know, you play the Assassin's Creed games, and I don't know about the most recent ones, but even in up through at least 3,
the where are you jumping
you still got
syndrome.
problems where you know get to a corner on a building and you're like, well, I have to be like 3 ledges down to be able to get around the corner of this building.
By the way, this is like the only way
reason.
you'd ever know you could actually grip onto that fence. This particular challenge, because otherwise, because it's like, yeah, you try that and fail, and you wouldn't bother trying to jump off the top because it just looks like, yeah, that's death. But no,
You didn't get hurt that bad.
Yeah.
From it, though, like all of that, and the bar only went down through your head.
Yeah. By this point,
Well, I
I've
mean,
got
grabbed
better clothes, and I'm wearing things that give me stronger health gauge. I mean, most of the outfits you get, the health gauge is always the lowest stat. For some reason, like, this gauges can go into the red, which are like negative stats, kind of, almost. And the health is almost always in the red. I don't know what's even going on with that. It's it's a very weird stat system.
I didn't really notice.
Yeah,
like,
it's only like
you
halfway
getting
through the
different
game where you
stats.
get all 3 stats into the green because you have the best clothes to do so. Well, not the best, but because you have enough clothes to do so.
Yeah, I haven't noticed seeing like stat differences.
Yeah, because they're not very noticeable. It's small things like if you and an NPC are just running on a flat surface with no real things to trick on, because the animations are all the same for everyone, so tricking always takes the same amount of time. But if you're slightly a higher speed than them, you'll run slightly faster, so you'll cover more ground and be able to overtake them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the arrow you have to kind of pay attention to whether it's completely like that it's completely flush with you.
Right.
But yeah, this one over here is really weird because you have to kind of. I couldn't really work out a good way to do this one except just jumping up on the thing and. Yeah, it's a weird
Kind of
one.
just cheesing.
And by this last one, you mean we're a third of the way?
Yeah, I
through.
meant in this area because I think from here we kind of go around the building and I'll finish with this side of it if I remember correctly.
Man, this game's weird.
Yeah, this level in particular is one of the low points because it can just get weird at times with what it's asking you to do. It's not very obvious lines, and it's in this particular thing. This,
Is it
for
giving
example,
you like fucking laps in this challenge? What's going
no,
on?
this particular one is one I wouldn't have known you could do unless the game made me do it here. I wouldn't
Yeah,
have
I
found
wouldn't
that
have
way
known that.
across that building without. You never have to use it again. Because most of the
'Cause,
races
like-
take you around that middle building as opposed to down there, so it's kind of functionally useless because you're never going to purposely go across the river, really. Unless the game
mean,
makes you.
I mean, I guess it would be weird if the camera showed, you know, everything except the wall you're on,
Yeah.
but because of that, you don't see all these things that are behind you or below you.
Yeah.
So, like that jump onto the fence and that drop onto the, I guess, kind of the wooden thing, neither of those you could see.
Yeah.
So the game kind of has to make you do them.
Yeah. Now that's a clever thing the game does. It kind of forces you to do certain lines so that you'll know they exist, but there's just too often where it's like kind of necessary.
Yeah, they make you do a line, but then sometimes it's like they'll make you do a line that you'll never use again. So it's not like useful
Yeah.
for this challenge
Yeah.
to inform you about this line,
And that,
because
yeah,
you'll never use that line again.
and that was me just showing off like another bonus CD. You
Right.
get like you can get CDs and movies and stuff, but some of them are a bit out of the way, especially during some of the later races. So I just don't really bother most of the time. Because sometimes you'll see one on screen, and I'll just ignore it, or you'll see one that's not glowing anymore, or that's just not there. In which point, well, so in that case you wouldn't see it. In which case I've already got it on the previous attempt at the challenge.
Can you get the CDs during any challenge? Like, are they just there in the level and you can
They're
get them
only there
whenever?
during that specific challenge.
Oh.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's why I didn't really bother going for them, because I know where some of them are in the earlier levels, but I just don't want to bother mining.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't seen the
Yeah.
crash events, right?
No, I
These are
haven't.
pretty
Yeah.
amazing. It's just
They're pretty good.
that old man
So,
disapproves
what
of
exactly is
explosions.
going on?
You hit the yellow power-ups, and that causes you to ragdoll, and if you hit TNT, that explodes you, and you get points by
Yeah.
flailing about.
This is basically the other side of free running. Take as much damage as you can in the most hilarious way as possible. This is basically any episode of that classic super cartoon I can't remember the name of with Rocket Power.
Oh, man. Rocket power.
We're
Fuck that
basically
show.
playing as the Sid and we are teasing it, or whatever the term was. I was happy
Yeah,
with
man.
that. I made it all the way across the river
Yeah,
by blowing
Yeah.
myself over.
kind of reminds me of insurance fraud from Saints Row.
It kind of, yeah, but I found the Saints Row thing a bit infuriating because often it's like the cars just don't spawn for a while. And
Oh,
it
yeah.
just becomes impossible. It's just like, I didn't really bother much with that.
Oh, I loved the insurance fraud.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the car thing sometimes, but then the cars hit you, and it all works out.
That,
Yeah,
I've only played the original.
later games.
Yeah.
In 3 and 4, the insurance fraud just the physics get like twice as wonky as they ever did in 1 and 2, and it just makes for some really weird.
Yeah.
Weird gameplay because you'll get
I
a
went
really high
backwards
combo
of that,
and
so
the
I was
physics
pretty
will
proud
work
of that.
less and less realistically.
Yeah.
You'll go flying through the air.
Yeah. You'd get, like...
You'll be like soaring above the clouds because
You'd get, like, max level, and you'd be able to, like, spin around
yeah, you could
in
like
circles.
get hit and then like start gliding all over the city if you wanted.
Yeah.
One thing I quite like about these challenges is some of the later things are things you need to do in certain races, and then this way you just do it with TNT crates and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like certain jumps where you can just blow yourself across the jump, kind of.
Yeah. It's like shooting yourself through a hoop.
Yeah.
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 I don't think in real life free running uses cannons enough. I feel like it'd be a faster way to get from place to place just to get launched by a cannon.
Yeah.
Now this is just me showing off. I've unlocked 2 races that I consider to be boss challenges, kind of.
Huh.
Where you're basically fighting a specific, not fighting, racing a specific free runner along a specific route, trying to get specific stuff.
Oh.
Are you gonna do one of those right now, or is this the end of the video?
No, this is me showing off something pretty funny. I'm just showing off the
right,
basic menu stuff. Like just showing off how the menu works and how slow the clothes load. It's ridiculously bad there.
Yeah.
This is weird.
Yeah, it's very slow, so you can barely really make out what's going on all the time.
It's like, why do all of these clothes give you negative health? You're expecting an option
Yeah.
which is just like
Although you have to
default zero in anything.
notice though, the better clothes give you less negative health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
they
baby.
all give you negative health. Why is that? Why
Because
if,
you always
if
start
all
with
of them
minimum
give
health.
you negative health, then why isn't
Yeah.
like the
If
base.
So I
just
came
0
this
and
far
then-
out to let it auto-save because I didn't want to have to redo the close.
Huh.
If you ran naked, would you like be stronger
No.
than if you wore any clothes?
This is what happens when you try and use the video player like at all. It works fine auto-playing, but when you manually play them,
Wow.
the PlayStation crashes. It can't
Amazing.
find the video.
Game.
Notice as well when we beat the tutorial, you saw the Sebastian video play fine. It was him doing random tricks.
Right.
And when you try and play it manually, the manual player breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the game testers would have noticed the first and wouldn't notice the second. They were
Yeah,
like, we don't
because they
care
probably
about
didn't
this.
have time to check
And
the
they
menus.
wanted to make free running too.
They were gonna iron out the bugs.
Eventually.
Yeah.
It's
after
only
the
a
game
small
was
bug.
released.
Who cares about
Maybe they
seeing?
fixed it for the PlayStation Network release, which they apparently did.
Best thing is the other
Maybe
videos
only in
after
Europe.
Sebastian don't autoplay, so you literally have no way to watch them. They are lost to the ether for eternity.
Good thing we got him.
Rebellion.
Fucking rebellion.
There's always something, isn't there?
Yeah. Alright. Thanks for watching.